As the media floods us with relentless news coverage, propaganda, advertising, and subtle messages, we need to understand the link between our personal experiences and the larger social systems. Become media literate. Next on Living Smart.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
The mainstream news media. While Americans rely on it daily for the latest reports on world and domestic events, a recent study conducted by the Cronkite School of Journalism indicates that nearly 67% of Americans don't trust major media for accurate reporting. Ask Americans specifically why they distrust the media, and the answers are generally vague. After all, reports of news media abuses aren't normally found on the front page or the nightly news. Nonetheless, they do exist. Dateline NBC, a primetime news program, airs a story in 1992 entitled Waiting to Explode. The story includes footage demonstrating that a line of trucks produced by General Motors readily explode on impact.
To see for ourselves what might happen in a side impact crash, Dateline NBC hired the Institute for Safety Analysis to conduct crash demonstrations. Unlike GM tests, the fuel tanks were filled with real gasoline. Look what happened. At impact, a small hole was punctured in the tank. According to our experts, the pressure of the collision and the crushing of the gas tank forced gasoline to spew from the gas cap. The fuel then erupted into flames when ignited by the impacting car's headlight.
After the program airs, one of the firemen at the taping of the crash contacts GM. The conversation inspires a full-scale investigation. 3 months later, NBC is forced to reveal their role in fabricating the news.
NBC's contractor did put incendiary devices under the trucks to ensure that there would be a fire if gasoline were released from the truck's gas tank.
We said the crash, quote, forced gasoline to spew from the fuel cap, end quote. GM says since the gas cap was the wrong cap for the GM filler tube, and because the gas tank was overfilled, the cap came off when the impact occurred.
We agree with GM that we should have told our viewers about these devices.
The Dateline reporter, however, said, quote, at impact, a small hole was punctured in the tank, unquote. GM has now x-rayed that tank and found no hole.
We acknowledge the placing of the incendiary devices under the truck was a bad idea from start to finish.
Is Iraq's regime of President Saddam Hussein a clear and present danger to the United States?
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein's regime is a danger to the United States and to its allies, to our interest, to our interest, to our interest, to our interest, to our interest.
We just heard the Prime Minister talk about the new report. I would remind you that when the inspectors first went into Iraq and were finally denied access, a report came out of the the IAEA that they were 6 months away from developing a weapon. I don't know what more evidence we need.
The one choice we don't have is to do nothing.
As the President has said, and as Prime Minister Blair said yesterday, doing nothing is no longer an option.
He has aggressively sought to acquire chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons over the years.
They have, over a good many years, demonstrated wonderful talent and skill at manipulating the media.
I sing and yodel.
You sing and yodel?
Yes, sir.
How did you learn to yodel?
I taught myself from an instruction book and tape.
All right. Good. Let's see it.
inspections, if an inspection team goes in now and finds nothing because perhaps Iraq is very good at hiding it, or perhaps they have nothing, but you all are of the belief that they have it. If they find nothing, does it make your job more difficult in trying to assemble an international coalition?
Goodness gracious, that is kind of like looking down the road for every conceivable pothole you can find and then driving into it. I just don't get up in the morning and ask myself that. We know they have weapons of mass destruction. We know they have active programs. There isn't any debate about it.
President, do you believe that Saddam Hussein is a bigger threat to the United States than Al-Qaeda?
That is a interesting question. I'm trying to think of something humorous to say, but I can't when I think about Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein. I'm trying to think of something humorous to say, but I can't when I think about Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein. I'm trying to think of something humorous to say, but I can't when I think about Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein. I'm trying to think of something humorous to say, but I can't when I think about Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein.